Odd Conduit Media.
What's it gonna be?
You are now listening to the
Hyrule Podcasters! Rumble, rumble.
Hey there, all you adventurers and trappers. Welcome to a side quest episode of
Hyrule Podcasters!
I'm your co-host, Ben.
And I'm your co-host, Pat.
And usually on this audio-only Let's Play, we venture through each game in Nintendo's Zelda franchise.
Yep, but not this week.
No.
We are airing an episode of our friend Bill's podcast, Bill's JRPG, Adventures and Other Trappings. This is an extremely interesting episode format for me as an audio engineer. So let me know if I'm getting this right.
Sure.
A bunch of podcasters all record themselves playing the same section of a game.
Correct.
And then they submit the audio. And then Bill or whoever his producer is edits it together. So everybody's like kind of talking about the same stuff at the same time.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So this is a spin-off of the Podcasters Assemble, which is a podcast that they do this for movies. And I've actually submitted ones for The Matrix and The Matrix Resurrections for Podcasters Assemble. That's
really cool, and sounds like a lot of audio engineering work, so hats off. I'm going to have to check this one out too.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
What game are you playing?
So right now, we're playing Zelda II, The Adventure of Link, your favorite Zelda game.
Why do you torture yourselves? You're all masochists. Well, I think it'll be fun to, what is it, the sixth dungeon that you're on this episode?
Yeah, the Sixth Palace. Yep.
Sixth Palace. Well, that's pretty deep in the game. That's a hard palace from what I remember. So I'm sure it's going to be fun to listen to everybody struggle through it kind of at the same time. I'm having flashbacks to Iron Knuckles and Bubbles. This is bound to be an exciting piece of podcast art.
Yeah, and on this week's episode, we have Troytle Power, Brett from Skeleton House, Scott from the RPG After Years,
No way.
Bill from RPG The After Years. You got me, and we got two friends from Discord who don't have podcasts, but are just super cool people and decided to contribute.
Wow, we got real life amateurs hanging out. This might be the beginning of their careers as podcasters.
Shout out to Jay and Frost.
Bringing the heat.
Bringing the heat.
Keeping it hot, keeping it spicy. Hey, if you like what you hear, Bill's JRPG Adventures and Other Trappings has a lot of episodes. Got some Pokemon Blue going on. Got some Phantasy Star 2 going on. Check it out. I hope you like the episode.
Oh yeah, in the language in this episode, it's a little spicy, so you might want to hide your children. You've been warned.
And of course... Excuse me.
Hey everyone, it's your co-host Ben from the Hyrule Podcasters.
I'm Jay, and you can find me right here on the Super Switch Club podcast, or on Bill's Trappings podcast, depending on how you're listening.
Hello, this is Scott, one of the co-hosts of the RPG After Years podcast, as well as variety Twitch streamer over at twitch.tv/the_Scott_Spot.
Hi, Bill. It's Troytle Power from the Power Playthroughs podcast.
Hey, folks. This is Brett from the Skeleton House.
Hi, this is Bill from Bill's JRPG Adventures and Other Trappings podcast.
These are my thoughts on the journey to and through the Hidden Palace.
Coming at you today to talk about Palace 6 in The Legend of Zelda II, The Adventure of Link.
Today we are going to talk about Zelda II's 6th Palace.
And this is once again Zelda II, The Adventure of Link, Palace 6.
And welcome to the Zelda 2 project, The Adventure of Podcasters. Oh, I finally remembered the old title. Yes, hello everybody, and welcome back to another wonderful, wondrous episode of Bill's JRPG Adventures and Other Trappings podcast, or the Super Switch Club, depending on where you happen to be listening to this. And yes, good luck, Eric. I'm going to make you edit most of those episodes. We're going to work really hard together. So Zelda 2, people, and I hope you all had a lot of joy with Palace 5. Palace 5 had its ups and downs, but we were able to get out of there with our weird... I'm pretty sure it's a bong. Yeah, me and Skelly decided it's a bong. So you find your bong in Palace 5, and then you head out into the world, ready to search out for Palace 6. I wonder what adventures will meet our friends along the way.
So I don't remember much about getting to the Hidden Palace because I did it like literally 4 months ago and then stopped playing. But what I remember is that there's a hidden city that you have to find, and I don't think there's any indication of where it is. And then the palace itself is hidden. You have to like stand between some rocks and blow your flute to get it show up. Listen, I gave up and started using a guide because this game was just too obtuse for me.
Now, my co-host Patrick and I played this about 7 months ago, and this was the part in the game where I really felt like the difficulty spike was almost unbearable.
All right, so we start off here by leaving the palace. It's been so long, once again, that I have no idea where I am, who I am, what I was doing, what I'm supposed to be doing. None of that matters because I'm using a guide. So shameless guide using. I don't care. Nobody at me, you know.
So you've finished off palaces 1 through 5. You've gotten lost a bunch. You've had to find all sorts of things. Now, outside of one difficult puzzle where you have to find a hidden village, the enemies in this section just rock your face up.
When we last left off, we picked up the flute in Palace 5. This will allow us to get past that pesky river devil blocking the road to the southern half of the eastern continent.
So for me, the first thing I did was I walked down south to the big giant hairy spider, because I think Skelly mentioned it at the end of the last episode, and I hit him over the head with my bong. And the bong smashed, the bong water went all over the thing, and off we went. It melted away the spider. And so we were able to wander off down through a valley, and we come out at a lovely, lovely graveyard. Wow, there's a lot of death in this game.
So we go south, apparently, and we use the flute that I think was the item that we got from Palace 5 to get past this creature that's actually kind of terrifying looking on the world map called the River Devil. It looks like a giant, like, black dead tree or like a giant squid or something. I don't know. I'm kind of surprised it just leaves when you play the flute. Like, you don't have to fight it or anything.
We start with this path after getting the River Devil out of the way. And that first path where you have the Lizalfoses throwing rocks at you, they are just snipers. Just no matter what you do, it seems like those rocks just end up hitting you every single time that you're trying to move around this place.
But anyway, once you're past that, you go through this like narrow path on the map, and you have to go through 3 enemy encounters where there's these lizard guys. I'm assuming they're supposed to be Lizalfos, are like just like chucking rocks at you from over the fence. They're like peeking up over the fence and just, you know, beating you with rocks, which is quite rude. I didn't care for that. But luckily, they're not too hard to dodge. You just have to like sort of not run as fast as you can and just, you know, kind of stop and let the rocks pass and then go, or slow down or whatever.
This part has a Home Alone fence with a bunch of the neighbors from Home Alone shooting fireballs at us. I don't know what this is supposed to be.
On the road south of where the devil once stood, we get thrown into combat encounters that include these tall walls with rock-throwing lizards perched atop them, out of range of Link's sword, hurling insults down upon him. Your mother was a hamster, and your father smelt of elderberries. After a few encounters with these insult-hurling French lizards, we reach the open section of the continent.
Okay, and there's a graveyard here, except for the flying eyeball guys are invisible this time. Awesome.
The first thing I spot is a town to the south. This happens to be Old Kasuto. What makes it old is that it appears to have been abandoned, and it's filled with what seem to be invisible enemies.
Oh, and the enemies... there's another Home Alone fence, and the enemies are invisible here too? Is my game broken? Okay, I game overed. I jumped in some lava. I don't think I'm supposed to be over here yet. I'm just getting hurt by nothing. I went into like a lava area. Do I need a red tunic?
So then you're in this whole new huge section that has a swamp area. It has a desert area. It just makes life really difficult with how expansive it is. And there's not a easily accessible town in this section that allows you to get your healing back, to get your magic back, which just all leads to this section of the game easily being one of the most difficult, especially because you have that initial gauntlet that you have to walk through.
Then we have a cave in this wooded area here, which leads out to another side. It looks like this is a secret tile. Nope. Okay, there has to be a secret tile in this forest somewhere. I've played video games before. Or not? Can I walk into the water somewhere? Nope. Okay, well that sucks.
I happened to be wandering around, and I came across a heart container. Yep, no battles, nothing like that. Well, there were battles on the overmap, but there was no battles in this particular screen. Just it transitioned into what I thought was going to be a fight. And there was a heart container, so yeah, bully me.
So you make it past them, and then make it to another pretty generic area of the map. There's like a swamp and a forest and some bridges you can cross and all of that. I think I found a pea bag in a cave to the north or something.
Now I've realised Zelda 2 has made me into a genius of gameplay. I walked over, I could see a town sitting down there, southwest, just to the west of these 3 stone pillars in the middle of the thing. And there's a bridge to cross it. And of course we all know what that means when there's a bridge to cross. There's going to be something in the way. And we're going to have to... It's going to throw lots of enemies at us. They're probably going to sap our EXP and it's going to suck. But Bill has grown smart. Bill turns into a fairy! I go to the top of the screen and I transition all the way to the other end without any problems whatsoever. Haha, Ganon, you think you're smart, do you? You can't outsmart me, you bastard. I've got you. Me and my fairy spell, we're going places, we are.
Hey, oh god, I found the town, thank god. Oh, I gotta cross a shitty bridge. With the f***ing Medusa head dinosaur skulls jumping at me.
Link takes a beating just trying to get to the first house, where I find an open door. I go to the bottom of the stairs in that house, and an old man tells me to come back when I'm ready. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but there doesn't seem to be much more I can do here.
Oh, the palette here is so nice. Why am I getting hurt? Kasuto, strange. It is deserted. I'm gonna die reading that sign. Okay. The town sucks. I can't go back in there, or else I will die. So I can't even explore it.
So the first thing that you're somehow supposed to figure out is to locate the first, the town of Kasuto. And this place is, you walk into it and you just start losing life. Just right off the bat. Nothing else happens to you. You just start getting hit for no reason. And so you don't really know what's going on there.
Okay, I think I've scoured every part of this continent. I am gonna go back to that village that's just killing me. Oh, I don't get hurt inside the houses. That's nice. Wizard. The town is dead. Look east in woods. Alright, well, that's some direction, I guess. Yeah, all these buildings, they got like chunks out of them.
come to find out that there are invisible enemies in this town, which is just terrible.
Okay, well, let's look through every tile in these woods, I guess. Surely it doesn't mean the woods to the east through that cave, because I already checked all the tiles. Maybe it's a trigger talking to the wizard?
And then the guide led me astray, because here's what happened. I got into the hidden palace, and I couldn't find keys I needed. And I had my fairy spell, but the fairy spell would only get you so far because you use up all your magic. And then I looked at the guide, and it talked about how in that hidden town, there was a thing where at the very edge of town was a secret ability or whatever that means you never need to have keys again. You can just go through all the keys. And I was like, this is great. I'm going to go get that ability.
Okay, nope, wasn't the tiny forest past the cave that seems to have no actual use, so let's go check out the gigantic forest before the cave and walk back through the cave again. This forest is huge. How am I supposed to check every tile? Oh, I found it. Holy fuck, that took forever. Okay, we're in like a Stonehenge area with the pea bag. It's not just the XP bag, is it? It just appears to be the XP bag. Okay, maybe the wizard meant a different thing in the forest.
And then I saw on the world map that there was like a town nearby, and I was pretty hurt at this point, so I was like, okay, let's go to the town. So you have to cross 2 danger bridges to get there, and then you get there, and I think the town is called Old Kasuto, and like you just die immediately for no reason.
Everyone in this town... There isn't anyone in this town. This town's full of monsters that I can't see. Why can I not see these monsters? Right. I'm kind of thinking at this point, I'm not supposed to be in this town. I'm obviously supposed to get an item so I can see the monsters, or maybe return it back to townyism or whatever it is, because this place is dead.
Okay, I entered every tile in this gigantic ass forest, and I just found the one with the XP bag, but maybe it triggered something for the wizard. I'm gonna go back and talk to the wizard. The town is dead. Look east in woods. Oh, dude. Yeah, I have no, hold on. We can travel along the area that kills us? We haven't been all the way past there yet? No, this can't be the way to go. There's a bunch of invisible dudes that keep on knocking me into lava, and I got another fucking game over. I think I might have to look up what to do, because I don't fucking know.
So I saved and reloaded my save state like 20 times before I was like, okay, this isn't working.
So I go back out, I ferry back across the bridge. I like that ferry. And then, yeah, I stand in between these 3 stones. I mash a few buttons. Everything goes still for a second because I've turned the sound off. And then, yes, the Palace 6 rises out of the desert. Comes bursting out of the sand. And I triumphantly walk in to the palace a bit too early. Ah, shit. What have I done?
Use the hammer on one of the forest squares once you get to the other end of the cave to reveal a new town, New Kasuto. What the fuck, dude? I almost made it through the entire goddamn game without having to look shit up, and then you tell me that I have to use a hammer in the fucking woods, a thing we have never done before, because the hammer only works on rocks. But okay, game. Okay, fuck you.
So, here I am. I'm supposed to be doing something else on the world map, which I now know about. I'm wandering through Palace 6, thinking I'm pretty bad boy. This is really easy. I thought there'd be a bit more side questing before this, but there was no side quest before Palace 5, so maybe the game's just given up on it. But no, I'm going through and I'm finding lots of locked doors. I'm like, okay, I know how to get past the locked door. I'll ferry through it. You know, I must have had to have turned left somewhere or something, gone in a different direction and found the key. I didn't. I got to the door. I can't bother to go back. I'm just going to ferry through. But no. I keep ferrying through doors and ferrying through more doors and ferrying through more doors. I'm not finding any keys in this place. I'm getting completely lost. And I'm just like, what's going on? Am I... what the hell's happening? So, I did the logical thing that everybody else would do. I go to mikesrpgcenter.com. Ha ha ha! Zelda 2 guide! And yeah, I found out there's a whole blooming side quest that I'm supposed to do to get a magical key that opens up every single locked door. So, time to backtrack out this bloody palace, or throw myself into a pit 5 times. See, I'm smart. Getting smart at this game, I am.
I just want to reiterate, like, the hammer isn't even an item that you use in the overworld. It's just a thing when you walk in front of boulders, you just hit the button and then the boulder explodes. That's it. Like, it doesn't show Link swinging a hammer. You can't swing the hammer if you're just standing on a tile. It's just like a boulder go away button.
Luckily, I remember from playing this game as a child that Old Kasuto was deserted and its residents are now in New Kasuto. I also remember that New Kasuto is hidden and you have to chop down trees in the forest with a hammer to find it. So I journey through a cave to the north and come out on the northern shore of this section of the continent and start chopping down trees.
Oh, I found it. It's just in the fucking woods, hiding under some trees I hammered open. Hidden town of Kasuto. Fuck you.
I know you're supposed to go to New Kasuto next as part of the progression, but I didn't know that, and I guess I wasn't following the guide closely enough. It just said go to Kasuto, and I'm like, oh, I didn't realize there were 2 Kasutos.
So anyway, I managed to find the cave, go through the cave, and I get to this little corpse of trees, and I'm like, walking around it, expecting to fall into a village at any point, you know, like we did with Era's mate, who, you know, he was just in a tile, in a bush. I'm walking around, I'm getting into fights. Just keep walking around, still getting into fights. Oh, there's nothing here. Back to Mike RPG Centre. My favourite place in the world at the moment. You're supposed to use a hammer to smash the trees to reveal the town. And it's only on a certain tile, so I smashed a lot of trees before I found the right one that contained the town. All the while getting into fights. And once you get into a fight as well, when you come back to the open map, those trees have regrown. They are the fastest growing trees in the world. Jesus Christ, game. Jesus Christ.
Honestly, I don't know why I remembered this from playing it as a kid, but if I didn't, I absolutely would have had to use a guide here because I don't remember very many clues telling me where to find this.
And so what you end up having to do is you end up having to find in a random tile in a forest after you have gone through a cave. You have to find a random tile to use the hammer on. And I will say this is probably the only piece of the game so far that I have really found to just be absurd.
Okay, I found the wizard. Come back when you are ready. Okay, so I heard in the Discord you need all of the magic potion things that upgrade your magic meter. And apparently I'm missing one somewhere in the world. I don't know which one I'm missing. I don't know where it is. So good thing I already broke the seal on not using a guide, because fuck that.
I am not sure what you are supposed to do to know to use the hammer to knock down trees. You can't... It's not like the hammer knocks down all trees, in which case you could say, like, oh, okay, like, this is just part of the game and just what you have to do. You just have to find this random tile, and we were looking at a map when we were playing, and we still struggled to find the right tile somehow and press the button at the same time.
Wait, call for help at the 3-eye rocks. Oh, maybe that's where the final one is. I can just, like, blow my flute at those rocks. That's, yeah, I don't have to look at the guide. I don't have to look. I'm totally self-sufficient. And then at the end of this town, there's just a gigantic wall, which I can't even ferry over. So, that is interesting.
And then you have to, like, go to, like, kind of work your way through the mountains in another cave. And then you find New Kasuto, but you have to, like, hammer away with your hammer parts of the forest to uncover it. And this was a problem for me because I would, like, hammer a block, and then I would get attacked by enemies. And then after the enemy encounter, the pieces of the forest that you hammered would be back. So it's like you had to pretty much know exactly which one you were going for.
As we explore the town, we come across a house with a fireplace that you can enter like a door. Inside there you get a spell that's simply called Spell, and not a lot of clear intent on how it's used. But if you travel all the way to the end of the town, where you hit a wall, and cast the spell, a giant hut will raise from the ground with a tall door. Inside is the magic key, so we no longer need to worry about collecting keys in the remaining palaces.
And so then I walked into town, and the first thing I met was an old lady who was like, "Oh, you don't have enough magic power for me to help you." I was like, "What do you mean, old lady?" And so I looked at the guide, and the guide was like, "There's an old lady at the edge of town. You have to have all the magic pots hidden from around the map in order to talk to her." And so I was like, "All right, cool." So I decided it was time to backtrack, and I went wandering around the world looking for magic pots. And I did that for way too long, and then I was like, what am I doing? And I got a guide up, and I followed the instructions for the guide, and I went and got all the magic pots that you can get. And then I went back to the lady, and I talked to her, and she's like, "Oh, you've sure got all your magic abilities now." And then you didn't need to do that to get the thing that lets you go through all the locked doors. It was a side quest. It was unnecessary. But the guide led me astray.
So that's just the way it goes. But once you're in here, it's pretty standard in terms of what's going to happen. You're going to talk to a lady. She's going to introduce you to her old uncle that's chilling in a cavern. He's going to give you a magic spell, and then you're pretty much going to use that instantaneously in the same town to get the magical key. Which is great, except for the fact that, there's only 2 dungeons left, and, it's kind of a lame item to get this late in the game, I have to say. But they do the same thing in The Legend of Zelda, where you get the magical key, I think in the 8th dungeon, which does make Turtle Rock a lot easier in that game. But it is kind of like a lame thing to get towards the end.
Do you have the 7 magic containers? Asked this lady. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, fuck.
So you go into Kasuto, or New Kasuto rather, and you learn that all the villagers had to flee Old Kasuto because it got took over by monsters or some shit. So that's kind of interesting. And then the thing that you have to do here is you got to get the spell, which that naming convention though, I don't even know.
So I finally find this bloody hidden city of Katsuo. Katsuo. Is that? Katsuo! Canada! No, it's Canada, isn't it? No, Tetsuo. That's what I'm thinking of. There's Tetsuo, isn't it? From Akira. Oh, I need to rewatch that. I haven't watched that in ages. Anyway. So finally in Katsuo, there's an old woman who invites you into her basements, which we're very familiar with, but she will give you the final magic container. It's the final magic container. The final magic container. Anyway, and yeah, and then then in another one, you can climb in to a fireplace, which I'm getting good at this. I managed to find it all by myself. And there's an old man trapped in the dungeon down there who will teach you the spell. It's just the spell had such a ridiculous name.
Okay, before we look at the guide, we're going to go back. There were 3 boulders in like a triangle. I'm going to go blow my flute at them. Maybe something will happen. Oh, I blew my flute at the rocks and the thing appeared. Oh god, it's the castle palace. I'll come back later. The hole in palace is endless trap. Oh, that sounds not great. Okay, no, yeah, it's 7 and then 1, I guess. Oh, fuck. Which one am I missing?
But the thing is, the wizard won't give you the spell if you don't have 8 magic containers. And so even if you have level 8 magic, you won't have enough containers to get it from this wizard. So you're supposed to get your last magic container from this old lady in town, but she only has she won't give it to you unless you have every other magic container. And so there are actually 4 magic containers that are optional on the map, just kind of hidden away. And I guess I didn't have all of them.
All right, Maze Island? Where the fuck was Maze Island, dude? It's been so long.
Just why? Why'd you call a spell? Like, come on. Spell. Yeah, spell. I'm gonna call it spell because we're Nintendo and we do whatever we want. God, this game is getting to me, guys. It's getting to me.
So I had to fight my way all the way back through the Lizalfos fence areas, through all that shit, and I started looking for the magic containers. And of course, the one that I had missed, I was only missing one, was the last one I checked. So I went all the way through fucking Death Mountain, Nibiru, and all these other places that were just kind of a pain in the ass to get to. Finally, the one that I was missing is literally in the one in the cave right by the Zelda's Palace, the North Palace or whatever it's called. So right by the beginning of the game. I'm like, fuck me, are you kidding me? Jesus Christ.
Oh, you just have to take the long way despite seeing that it's the long way in this maze to get to the... Okay. Oh, there it is, the last one. I just had to happen to step on the right fucking tile when I was back here like 6 months ago. Sick. Alright, cool. Let's head back to fucking New Donk City or whatever we were hidden in the woods.
So then, I fought my way all the way back through those outpost fences again and all the other shit that comes with that. Got back to Kasuto. She gave me the magic container, learned the spell, and all that does is at the end of the village, there's like a wall, just like a wall, and then you use the spell, and this thing rises from the ceiling, and I don't even remember why you had to do that. Like, what happens when you get there? Huh. Oh, right. Magical key, which opens all keys in all dungeons. So that's really badass, but I'm not convinced it's going to make the palaces any easier.
Alright, now time to make the walk through Tim Allen's fucked up backyard for the fucking 30th time. You deserve my help. Follow me. Now I deserve your help. I'm saving the fucking world. There is a secret at edge of town. And she's got a fucking mana potion in her room. She can just fucking give it to me? Alright, we got max magic now. I guess we're missing one health thing somewhere in the world, but I'm not looking for it. Zelda, I've come up to bat for you so many times, but this section fucking sucks. Remember the magic word. We got the we got the spell. What the fuck does that do?
So you get told by somebody in the village, I don't remember exactly where, that if you go to this triangle of rocks in the desert nearby and play your flute, that something will happen. So you go and do that, and then Palace 6 rises from the sand like it's like a Final Fantasy airship. And that was my first session. I stopped there. I wanted to save the palace for another session.
I bet you I have to use it at the big thing at the edge of town, though. What fucking tower is rising from the earth? There's a key. Maybe I needed that to get into the palace? Okay, well, regardless, this was by far the worst before palace section that I have seen in this game so far, and I think it's the last one, because I think after this we just go right to the Grand Palace, but I don't know, this part sucked.
But before we enter Palace 6, I made a slight detour back to the place. I was thinking, hey, I did the other town. I'll go back to the other town before I go into Palace 6. And yeah, there were still monsters around, but if you go in the first door, there's a guy down there, and because I got the final magic container, he taught me the spell Thunder. I will never use this spell, apart from I think there's one scripted boss fight where I have to. Anyway, on to Palace 6.
So the next thing you have to do is you were given a hint somewhere along the lines that you should play the flute in between the triangle of rocks in the desert. And this is where you get the hidden palace, which is great because we are now in our last palace that we need to place a crystal in. So here we go.
Now Mike's RPG Centre hasn't got all the RPGs in the world. It has got 7th Saga for you people who are keeping up with the list games on the RPG After Years. Yeah, 7th Saga there is a guide for it on Mike's RPG Centre. It hasn't got a lot of guides. It's probably got about 20 to 30 guides, but they're all excellent, and I happen to use it for Sword of Vermilion as well, so I thoroughly recommend it. I think at some point I've got to play Buck Rogers, and this seems to be the only place in the world where there exists a guide for Buck Rogers. But yeah, I do thoroughly suggest going to mikesrpgcenter.com if you want to use a nice guide for some older games, like Zelda 2. Yeah, good.
Having collected all the goodies available in New Kasuto, we are on our way to the palace. There are 3 rocks in a triangle pattern in the desert in the center of this section of the continent. Luckily, I remember that the palace is brought forth by playing the flute between these 3 rocks. Link plays a few bars, and the palace rises out of the desert sand. And we are off to place the final crystal before the Grand Palace.
And apparently, this spell is only used to do one thing, which is to cast it at the end of town. Now, luckily, the NPCs walking around town do pretty much spell this out for you. It's not like very cryptic, but it's really cool. Big thing comes crushing out of the desert again, although we're in a forest. And there's a big cave. You go into the cave, and within the cave is the magic key, which will allow you to open all the places inside the palace. So back I go. Back I delve deep into the depths of Palace 6.
So this palace is kind of a beautiful, like ruby red color. It's actually quite aesthetically pleasing for Zelda II.
This palace has a few spots where you can fall down pits to lower levels, and the first one of these spots we encountered actually acts as an infinite loop, where if you fall down through all 4 levels, you are dropped back into the top level.
Oh, Palace 6. You and your locked doors that I now have the key to open. And you and your terrible pitfalls. Oh, the terrible, terrible pitfalls.
This palace, after the last two, I found to be a little more straightforward. You pretty much have to, do the thing where you go all the way to the right, you get some stuff, you come back, you go all the way to the right, you do some stuff, you come back, you go to the boss.
The biggest struggle I had in this palace happened in the room right before you get the cross. There's a long room you go through that has a couple sections of floor that are actually fall through. The floor is an illusion. And if Link goes to walk across it, he falls down to the next level, and you have to backtrack through a few rooms, go up an elevator, and make your way over there again. And I have to tell you, I probably fell through this floor, a dozen times before I finally got it. And you'd hope that you could do something smart, like just use fairy and go over it, but then you run into a wall of blocks that stop you from going any further as a fairy. It got to the point where I had to use save states just before I got to the floor and try to time my jump. For whatever reason, I just could not grasp where the last good tile of floor was to start my jump and where I had to get to.
By the way, I ended up having to retreat at more than twice in this dungeon to go back to the entrance, and how you can attack the statues at the entrance, the Iron Knuckle statues, and they'll either turn into an Iron Knuckle or they'll drop a magic potion. So I ended up relying on those magic potions and just kind of save scumming through all of this.
This they do have some cool things where you have to have the endless falling pit, which I always liked just that as a mechanic.
Aside from the room with the invisible hole in the floor, the other really unfair room in this palace is a room with a bunch of lava pits and those flying horse heads that knock you off as you're jumping from platform to platform. I lost 1 life there falling into the lava.
And of course, they just have difficult bad guys all over the place. We actually get our boy, the Iron Knuckle, back on the Iron Horse. We get him now as a mini-boss, which is something that, I always really like to see in video games in general, when they bring back bosses to be mini-bosses.
And it starts off simply enough. The one thing that really annoyed me is there's a lot of whiz robes in this palace. And, the only way to kill them is with the reflect spell. But of course, magic is at a premium in this palace, and, not just this palace, the whole damn game. So you don't want to, waste magic using reflect just to kill those guys. So I ended up just, dodging them as best as I could, jumping over them and shit.
One neat thing this palace had that I forgot to mention when I was going over getting the cross is that this palace has a couple places where you fight a mini-boss. So you walk into a random room, and all of a sudden the boss UI comes up, Then you face the boss from the third palace, the Blue Dark Nut riding a horse. Granted, that boss is much easier now, but it was kind of cool. There was one that guarded the room where you had to go to get to the cross, and then there's another one later just before you get to the palace boss.
And the first thing that comes to mind in this palace that's quote-unquote interesting is there's a hallway you go through where there is a pit that you have to... that it's just like an invisible pit. Just like the invisible wall in the last palace, there's a pit in here. You fall through it, and if you fall through it, you have to go back through, a couple of the dangerous hallways, ride an elevator back up to where you were, and of course there's one of those boomerang mace-throwing guys just waiting and ready for you at the top of the elevator, which is just total ass bullshit.
Yeah, there is a key. Okay, so we did need to do all that bullshit. Oh, the KKK guys are back. Oh, we can just...
So then the rest of the dungeon is pretty straightforward. You're just they're pretty much throwing kind of every bad guy at you. You're going to get lots of blue iron knuckles. You're going to get red iron knuckles. You're going to get lava pits, that have dragon heads and Miases in it. It's just it's a very difficult. You can tell you're getting towards the ends.
The good thing about being maxed out, I can just ignore all these fucking pee bags. I can just run past all these enemies. I don't care, dude.
So eventually you have to fight a boss from an earlier palace to get further, and it's just the iron knuckle that rides on the horse, so that wasn't too bad. Of course, they're the blue iron knuckles, so they still suck.
I beat that palace. I think there's only one left. I'm really excited to say that I've played through Zelda 2. I'm looking forward to saying, yeah, I beat Zelda 2, even though I hate it. It's a dumb game for bad people.
Oh, hey, mini boss. Oh, it's the horse guy. It's the dude riding the horse ghost motorcycle.
Yeah, so there's a Link doll that you can get to, but you have to ferry to that as well, which is total ass because it's at the very end of the dungeon, and there's a couple of those evil bubbles or whatever they're called, the skull heads that sap your magic, just bouncing around quickly. By the way, the bubbles are super fast in this palace, and I hate it. And they sap your magic when you touch them, so it's like taking all your magic here.
Okay, we got another mini boss. Who's this now? I have no magic left. 2/3. Oh, it's the knight guy again. That's boring. How do I can't remember how to hit him. I fought him a minute ago.
Oh, so yeah, there's basically once you get through the first bit of this palace, there's a couple of mini bosses, which are they're the blue nuts on horses.
I learned you can kill the Medusa heads in this lava pit room, and it's a lot easier.
And here is... by the way, there's also another Iron Knuckle boss fight somewhere in here.
Okay, I made it through mini-boss 2, only fell in the lava once, and we got another key, hooray. A thing we absolutely don't need at all.
And there are nuts galore. It's a galoriness of that's right. It's gay. It's getting there. It's getting to me. I don't know why, but it is.
As we make our way towards the end of this palace, we hit another set of rooms where you have to fall down a pit to the next level. And in the second room, you have to turn into a fairy before you fall down into the third level, so that way you can get to a hallway that's all the way over to the right and fly through. This area evokes memories of playing Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark on the Atari 2600. That game had a spot where you needed to fall off a cliff and then strike your whip at a tree branch at just the right time to swing into a cave. But those were Atari hitboxes, so it was nearly impossible. It makes the hitboxes in this game seem very generous.
Alright, let's start this fucking palace.
I didn't totally abuse the save states, but it was definitely worse than Palace 5.
You're gonna give me some fucking XP? You're gonna give me another life? Whatever, I'm gonna lose that life in a second when I fall down a pit. I don't care. You have no power over me, video game.
There are also some sneaky sections where you have to use fairy to get across a lava pit, and there are lava droplets that are falling down on top of you. But, just having come off the last dungeon, the biggest thing is there's not some secret wall that you have to just, hope that you stumble upon. Right? And that in the end is just going to make life just a lot easier.
I think that key we got was a super key, because I'm just opening doors left and right.
The actual palace itself sucked. These palaces all suck. I wish they all had a map. I think I should just, you know what I should have done is I should have played this whole game, all of Zelda 2, with a map with the dungeon up next to me, because I don't like getting lost in them. And this one especially, there's a spot where you have to like fall and fall and fall, and you land in different areas. It just sucks. This game's terrible, and I hate it, Bill, and I wish I wasn't playing Zelda 2.
Well, I fell down a pit that I couldn't see. Do I have to like ferry over that pit? Maybe I have to ferry over that pit. I don't remember where it was.
And then there's a pit you have to cross, and you have to use the fairy spell to cross it. And this is sort of getting to what the terrible thing about this dungeon, but I'll save that for another minute.
Jump is actually the best spell in this game. I'm just fucking leaping over all these idiots. I fell in the pit. Fuck. Can I ferry back up? Nope. Son of a bitch. Wait, did I just soft lock myself? How do you unferry? Because now I'm a fairy and I have to break these blocks to the left of me or these blocks to the right of me. But, how do I... Oh, well, I can't even die. There's nothing here to kill me. How do I get out of the fairy spell? Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link by Pesquids 4 years ago. When I was in the Hidden Palace, I encountered an invisible hole in the ground. I decided to use the fairy spell to fly up and out. I was wrong and I had to be Link to cut some blocks. Nothing could kill me. How do I get out of this mess? Accepted answer by Galley of the Sea. You can't, except by dying or leaving the screen. Unfortunately, there are a few places in the game where you can get stuck. The only solution is to reset the game or press up and A on the second controller and accept the game over. Okay, let me figure out how to set up a second controller for a sec.
Here's the ass thing about the dungeon. There is a part where you have to fall down a screen, and then there's like a corridor in the wall that there's no floor to jump to it from. So if you don't like get into this corridor, you fall down another screen, and then you have to loop back all around and do this like terrible loop thing to get back there. What you're meant to do is fall down into that screen and immediately use fairy in midair, and then you fly through there. Not bad. That's if you know that's what you're supposed to do. But the issue here is that there is a. I think this is, Zelda 2 is not a good game, but it's mostly just not a good game because it's so fucking hard. This, I would say, is just like bad game design, because the dungeon is designed to sap you of your magic, and you need magic to get to the boss at the very end of it. And of course, if you're like me, then that means you're going into the boss with no magic. And, you never want to fight a boss without magic, because then you can't put a shield up, you can't restore health if you need to. It's bullshit.
Okay, so I just had to figure out how to force a game over using a second controller and then back at Sleeping Zelda. So let's go all the way back through the entire game and then through Tim Allen's Funhouse dungeon, and we'll just, make it back to the fucking palace. Motherfucker, I fell in the pit. I used all my magic to heal. Now I can't use the jump spell to get out of this fucking section. Kill me. Just kill me.
But, after about 30 minutes of suffering with this one false floor, I finally get through, and I get the cross. And now we can focus in on, getting to the palace boss and wrapping this up.
Hey, a key. I don't need keys, though, because I have the infinite key. Oh, I got a cross. What does this do? Probably lets me see the ghosts, if I had to guess. Or, those invisible fuckers back in the graveyard.
And what we get here is we get the final item, which is the cross, which, interestingly, Nintendo of America was pretty big on getting rid of any kind of religious paraphernalia in their games. And this is a pretty prominent one that they ended up not removing, which is kind of interesting because, from a game development standpoint, it only appears here where you hold it above your head, and then it's in your inventory. So you think it'd be pretty easy to swap that icon out. So it's interesting that they decided that this wasn't that big of a deal to have it here in the game.
You have to kill these nuts to get the cross.
But luckily, if you do fall down past that boss corridor, there's another Iron Knuckle statue back there. So if you use a save state, then you can restore your magic there by, just attacking it until it drops a potion instead of turning into a living Iron Knuckle. But I don't know what you would do without save states. I guess you would just, go back to the beginning of the dungeon and hope for better luck next time. Hope you get there with more magic. I don't know, but I hate it. Fucking stupid Zelda 2.
I think the only way I can go now, I saw some pits earlier which I jumped over. I think I just have to fall in the pits, and if I die, I will game over and have to walk all the way back. So it's a win-win. Okay, falling in this pit. Let's see if that's the solution. It is! I'm so smart. Oh, this is the endless pit that lady was talking about. Cool, another XP bag. I'm glad I'm going to lose all that XP the next time I game over in like 10 seconds. Do I have to fall in here? That looks like lava. Yeah, that's lava. Son of a bitch. Oh, I had to use the spell probably. Fuck.
But on your way there is a pit that you can fall into, and it's a never-ending pit. It will just constantly circle through the various different pits. And the very worst thing about this pit, is that you have to hit the third floor to be able to continue into the palace. Third floor.
Alright, let me pop over to Discord real quick. This is by far the worst part of the game. Holy shit. I hate this game, dude. Oh my god. I punched in the lava.
The only other example of bad game design I can really think of is how those wolf heads respawn endlessly, the floating wolf heads. I hate those. And then that one room in Palace 3 where you're fighting like a blue iron knuckle with a really low ceiling. That was terrible too.
On the plus side, like the fucking 8th or 9th time you're here, it's pretty much a straight line. I got knocked into the lava twice before even making it back to where I was. Alright, walk back, baby. Let's go.
So I defeat the first nut on the horse to get the cross. I fall into a pit, which I can thankfully climb out. And then I finally look into the guides and go, okay, I can see my way through. So I'm careful with my falling. I fall nice and easily. Fall myself way down so I can get myself an extra linky. Yes, there's an extra life sitting in this basement. Thank for that. Thank nuts for that, eh? And anyway, then there's one last falling pit which you have to go through in order to get to the boss.
It's called perseverance. None of you freaking millennials in your save states and you're looking up walkthroughs. This is how you really enjoy a video game, just by doing the same fucking shit over and over and over, and then failing the same spot. Oh, I gotta sneeze. Hold on. All right, sneeze over. Where was I? Yeah, don't know any. What's the word? You know, where you're like, you don't got no willpower. There's no drive. All you do is eat, watch your TikTok.
After a few frustrating challenges and a couple cheap deaths, I finally get to the boss room on my final life and only about half health.
We do get our iron knuckle on the horse one more time, which is always a fun thing to see him come back. And then we finally make it to the end, and we get to fight Barba.
You get to the boss. Apparently, it's this dragon serpent called Barba. It has like 3 lava pits, and it rises out of one of the 3 pits randomly. I don't know about you guys, but I just stayed on the single platform that I was on. I wasn't like jumping between platforms to try and get to Barba.
Oh, whoops, I started another mini-boss, but I am a fairy. It's a dragon! What the fuck? Well, this sucks. Have we fought a dragon before?
So I finally fallen my last pit, and I've fallen myself down into the boss room. And wow. Just wow. I think this is probably my favourite boss fight in Zelda 2 so far. It's a big dragon that comes out of these flaming pits.
So Barba wasn't too bad. It's just like the pinpoint accuracy you have to have to like jump up and hit him in the head with your sword, which is of course its weak spot, is a little too accurate for me.
I got knocked into the fucking water. I'm so tilted. I got knocked on the walk back. I got knocked into the water twice. I have a single life left. I haven't even. Fuck it. Game over me. Game over me. Let's start again.
This isn't too difficult, you know. You just once you've had a look at it and you've done it twice, it's just like, okay, I can get this now. He fires out. Sometimes he doesn't always cover the whole platform when he breathes out fire, and you've just got to kind of jump and hit him as he's coming up and out. So you just got to make sure you're jumping to the right platforms and then jumping back across to hit him at the right moments.
I remember this boss being really tough when I was a kid, so I'm kind of expecting to lose and have to start back at Princess Zelda. So I try to take this conservative with a chance to get it in the first shot. I end up just standing still on one platform, and I discover that if I don't move, this dragon comes up out of the lava, spits fire at me that falls just short of my feet, and then goes back down. And if I just wait for him to come in front of me, I can strike his head once on the way up, once on the way down, and after a minute or so, Easy victory. Way easier than I remember it, and kind of a letdown as this cool dragon sticking his head out of the lava pits was like one of the big selling features from the commercial for the game.
My strategy ended up being was using shield and jump right before the boss. And then having the better jump made it easier to dodge its fire breath, and shield, just kept me alive longer.
Okay, we're back at the dragon mini boss. I think I can just bypass all these guys, but I'm not for unknown reasons. Hooray, another fucking key. Absolutely worthless.
And it was really fun. This really felt like an old school NES game boss at this point. It was just like, I feel like I've played this boss a million times in a million different games. It felt like 200 Sonic bosses, loads of Mario bosses. It was just like, finally, this was a boss that they got right,
But the thing is, you're not really in danger of dying here. Well, you're not in danger of dying by losing your health. What goes wrong is that if you're not standing just right, the dragon's fire breath can knock you into the lava, and of course that's an instant death. So that's the hard part about this boss, but honestly it wasn't too bad. At least with save scumming, it wasn't too bad.
This is a pretty great fight from what the game has taught us to do, right? So you have platforming, you have projectiles, you have to use the jump spell, so that way you can hit Barba in Barba's head. And yeah, I feel like it's a really good culmination of what the game has been teaching us this entire time, which is, how to do action adventure, right? You got to be jumping between the platforms. You got to be timing your attacks well. You need to be dodging the projectiles that are going to be coming at you.
I'm not saying some of the ones are bad. They're just okay. This one was just like, this is fun. There's a big giant dragon head coming out of the floor, and it's breathing fire on me, and I've got to duck, dive, dodge, dip, and dive, and dodge. Ah, what? Dodge, duck, dive, dip, and dodge. My way to victory. And that is what I did.
Anyway, glad to be done with this palace. We place our final crystal.
So, once you defeat him, you get to place your final crystal. You're going to gain a level at this point.
But yeah, beat the boss. Of course, I was at 8,536 experience out of 9,000. I'm already leveled up all the way, but I was like, really? Can I just I should have killed 5 more Iron Knuckles at some point. Womp womp. But it doesn't matter, I guess.
Whoa, it's the end of the palace. What the fuck? That was the boss? Okay. I feel like I could have went many more places, but did not. But I beat the palace. I don't give a fuck, dude. That was kind of anticlimactic.
I was victorious. I slayed thine dragon. I moved oneth into the next of room, holding my cross. I can't remember what the cross is for. And I placed my cross in my ass as I put my crystal into the thing, and the palace disintegrates, giving me lots of EXP. Oh, glorious EXP. Moving me up a level into, I think I've got all 7s now. Yep, all level 7s. Still got a whole level to go, which I don't think I'll reach. But there I was. Palace 6 was done.
You should really be at level 8 across the board. This might be tipping over your last skill into level 8, but if you're not high enough, it's going to make things pretty difficult.
Okay. Fuck. That sucked. Yeah, that was the worst part of the game by far, especially the before the palace section with just so much fucking shit. Like, if you're missing a mana potion, you have absolutely no idea. Imagine this, you're in when did this game come out? Like, you're alive in the late 80s, you're playing this game, and you go to that final town, and you're like, oh, I'm missing a fucking mana potion somewhere in the world. Like, there's no fucking way I could have realized, like, oh, I'll just walk through the maze again, leading up to the maze palace. Maybe I forgot something there. No, no sane human being would have thought that. You have to fucking check every single tile in this goddamn video game to progress if you miss that one thing, like, however long ago that you have done it.
So overall, I would say I didn't have too bad of a problem getting through this dungeon, but I just hated the bad game design of, like, requiring you to have magic at the very end. It's like a test of how efficient you are with magic, but I didn't care for it.
And yeah, the palace fucking sucks, just constantly falling down pits, and then it's just like it's kind of a puzzle, because you're like, all right, how do I fall down this pit? Sometimes I gotta use a jump spell to jump out before I fall down this pit, or use a fairy to fly away before I fall down this pit, but it kind of just fucking sucks. It's just using up your magic meter, which could be used for more useful spells, such as life, the only good spell, and shield, I guess.
Oh, so yeah, Palace 6. Thank God for the guides, eh? It wasn't a difficult dungeon per se. I kind of breezed through it fairly easily, but damn, those pitfalls, man. If I didn't have somewhere where I could look up those pitfalls, that would have taken me a very long, frustrating time to work out. There's 4 floors and it's a continuous pitfall. And if you've missed 1 or 2 floors and you've gone down, you're not going to know which one you're on. And then you have to do it again later. And if you miss the boss floor, you have to go back and up and back round on yourself. It was stressful.
And yeah, man, I love soft locking myself in a room because I fall down a pit and I think I can just fly back up the pit. But no, dumbass. No, you absolute fucking fool. No, there's no way. You're too bad you're stuck now. Now fucking get up, stand up, go turn off your console, go outside, go play fucking baseball.
The town part would have been okay. The overworld part would have been okay if it wasn't for needing that all 4 magic containers. That kind of sucked too, and like at no point was that hinted at that would be something you need. If you don't use a guide, I don't know how you would know where the hell to go. So maybe this game is just bad game design all around.
Yeah, not a fan of the run up to this palace. Not a fan of this palace. This is the worst part of the game. Like Death Mountain, whatever, dude. Palace 3, who cares? Like fuck. Palace 6 sucks. Ass. The boss. It didn't even feel like a boss. It felt like a mini boss. I died the first time because I accidentally jumped down a pit, but I was like 1 hit away from killing it.
But with all that said, that just leaves Palace 5, the Grand Palace, Palace 7. So I'm eager to get this game out of the way, have it done.
Tries to run away, but she just poof disappears, and then they poof disappear, and we're just stuck in this room by ourselves. And we can proceed through the next door. Oh my gosh, are we gonna have to fight Naburu again?
I don't know.
They said they were gonna brainwash her another time. This is kind of freaky. And now we're in what looks like a maze or something?
Wow,
where are we?
We're no longer on the map.
We are off the map. Ladies and gentlemen, we are off the grid.
Wow. So Naburu just got zapped away again.
Yikes.
We saw the witches.
Look at that stupid kid. He came on his own to offer himself as a sacrifice to Ganondorf. Clearly, otherwise he wouldn't be in this room.
Okay, so it fades to black, and the witch sisters rise up out of the pedestals.
With my flame, I will burn him to the bone.
She raises up, catches on fire, and the other one rises up from the other side. Oh, she's creepy.
With my frost, I will freeze him to his soul.
And now she's all icy. It looks like Ben is gonna have to fight these evil witch sisters, who apparently are the sorceress sisters, Twin Rova. All right, so they're circling above him, and it is action time. Ben is gonna immediately target the flame one, and he's not really doing anything. He's just kind of watching her. Ben, do you have a strategy for this? Do you know what you're gonna do?
I don't.
Ben does not know what he's going to do, but it seems like he's going to do a lot of nothing. He's just kind of watching and waiting for them to start their attack. Oh, very smartly, Ben immediately busts out his mirror shield, because the lady with the fire shot fire at him, and the lady with ice is shooting ice at him, and he's hoping that he can reflect it, but the ice seems to just instead freeze him. He's frozen in place. So here comes some more flames, and he busts out the long shot on accident, and everything's chaotic. There's fire everywhere. Ben's running around trying to dodge these attacks. I think that he's going to try to use his mirror shield again when the fire comes at him, and he's going to try to reflect it back. Yes, at the ice. Yes, very good. So Ben got the Icy Witch with the fire attack reflection.
Okay, better not to use Z-targeting, it seems like.
Better not to use Z-targeting, he decides. And he's watching these witches go around in circles. Again, he's going to dodge the ice and then try to reflect the fire. But it's pretty tough because the Icy Witch isn't anywhere near up. She's coming back around. It's kind of just up to luck at this point.
Yeah, it does seem
I don't know if there's like really a way to coax them onto the same side of the screen or not.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
I'm sure Ben would want to do it. Okay, so he has the ice out. Oh, and he can reflect the ice. Yes, and he gets the fiery witch with the ice. And maybe you should shoot her with an arrow when she's all iced up. Okay, she spins around in a circle when he hits her with an arrow.
So
maybe that's doing something.
Yeah, something there.
Maybe you could hit the icy one with the fire arrow. But for now, Ben's just going to stick to the plan. And he gets hit. They're right stacked on top of each other. They made it really easy, but he misses anyway.
Yeah, I missed.
Sometimes when it's so easy, it's easier to miss as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, you think, oh, I got this, and you definitely don't got it. So here comes some more ice. He's hoping that the Fire Witch comes into play. She does not.
She did not
which
come
is
to play.
Kind of a bummer.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Okay.
You know, what are you going to do? Again, these are the sorceress sisters. So there's a sorceress of flame and a sorceress of ice. They're both female, and their race is Gerudo. Oh, they're freaky. They're apparently a recurring pair of Gerudo twin witches. They've been in other games. I don't know which games they've been in. Maybe I'll let you know. They are 400 years old, and they've been secretly leading the Gerudo tribe. And they are the surrogate mothers of Ganondorf. How freaky is that?
The ice just got me. Okay.
Ben just got by the ice. He's frozen. He doesn't have any fairies. He's just totally winging this. He didn't come in with a strategy or fairies, but he just reflected the ice back, and he's going to, while she's frozen, try to hit her. Doesn't really work. Is he supposed to be doing more than just reflecting magic at these witches? Nobody knows. Somebody knows. That somebody isn't me or Ben. They both have green wrinkled skin and dress in black robes with white Gerudo patterns near the hems, with an obi-like belt around their waists. Intro like this. Or should we just get some gameplay done?
Get the gameplay done.
Okay.
I mean, I guess we do have to do our intro. But
let's just do an intro. Hey, everybody.
All right. Hey, all you recording from your mom's basement.
In the Zelda series, we saw them when they came and kidnapped our friend at the end of the last episode. Ben is kind of running around, waiting for them to shoot stuff at him, and he's not really getting a lot of progress. I'm like wondering if there's another action that you're supposed to take after you have hurt them. You're able to redirect the attacks after taking a total of 4 hits. The pair. Oh, he's got another reflection going. Bang! And he hits her with it. How many times have you hit each of them, would you say?
Maybe 2 or 3.
Okay. Well, it looks like the magic number's 4. I read ahead a little bit. Spoiled the boss fight for everybody. Spoiler alert! The classic.
Oh, here we go.
Spoiler. And now he's hit both of them 4, so
Let's get serious now, Dokata. Oh, come on, Quobo. Kotake and Quobo's double dynamite attack.
oh, crap! And now they're as big as a fairy princess, and they winked at us. Oh my gosh, they kind of look like an evil version of a great fairy. This is freaky. I had no idea that they were going to combine into one entity. They have these crazy bushy pigtails coming out the back. One's made of fire, one's made of ice. They're kind of waving their arms around. Yes, Ben?
Well, they shot a ice thing at me, and it looks like my shield absorbed it.
Huh. I wonder what that's all about.
I don't know.
How are we supposed to hurt them if they are both fire and ice? I don't know, man.
I'm gonna try and absorb another ice.
Okay, you're gonna try to absorb another ice. The double dynamite attack has commenced. Combining their powers, they are not Captain Planet. They are just really bad. And Ben's
there we
shield is
go.
now flashing, and he can use that ice to
Oh, no!
fall down
Oh,
the pit,
come on!
and Ben is
Oh,
now
come
stuck
on!
below the platform. That was his moment. He got the witches now combined into one massive enemy. Oh, and he climbs back up, and after missing his shot, he gets hit by the ice without the shield and takes some damage. He has 2.25 hearts left. So he has to dodge the fire and absorb the ice.
Yes.
And then once that happens, he has to jump across the platform, get to where the witch is, and strike her with his sword, is what we're assuming.
Yeah.
But we won't really know that until we've done it.
Dang.
Apparently.
I got 3 fires in a row.
I wonder if you could absorb the fires instead. Ben's going to stick with the ice.
Yeah,
He's
I
not
think you
gonna
can.
risk
I just had started with the
Here we
ice,
go.
you know what I mean?
So he's got 2 ices. He needs 1 more
Come on, ice.
in order to shoot. Bang. Okay. So we have it, and we're shooting, and Ben looks across. Oh, he's using the long shot to come to her. Slice. She's laying there. She's tired. She's had a long day. She's been working on her feet. And then she gets back up to floating. Ben jumps back into the middle platform and absorbs ice again.
All right.
So he's got 1 ice. He's going to dodge fire and collect ice. Here we go. The fire comes out. Ben's happy. Ben's not happy. All of his emotions are all over the place. Again, he's got 2.25 hearts. Here we go, and she shoots fire, and he dodges. You know, you get out of that fire real good. You're good at dodging the fire.
Thank you.
She moves over there. What's it going to be this time? And she shoots more fire. It's exhausting. There's so much fire everywhere, and all we want is ice. So she raises her batons. There we go.
We need 1 more
And
ice.
Ben has the ice.
1 more ice.
We need 1 more ice. Ben will continue to dodge the flames. And we get the ice, and Ben reflects it back, and she hits the deck 1 more time. Ben uses the long shot to come to her and just slices. Oh, this poor helpless witch is laying there. Oh, what am I going to do? I'm going to get sliced up by Klopke. That's what I'm going to do. Ben attempts to jump back onto the middle platform, but does not work. So he waited just a beat so that she would shoot the shot while he was in midair.
Correct.
And it wouldn't get him like it did last time. Ben is a quick learner. He learns from his mistakes, and he implements what he's learned immediately. Unlike me, I usually die to the boss the first time and then come back around. He dodges another fire, and the boss moves to the side. He hopes for ice this time. She raises her magic wands, and once again, it's the fire. Oh my goodness. This is just so exciting. Everybody's on the edge of their seats. Another fire! Ben almost falls off the edge, but he clings on with 1 arm like an action movie star. Here we go. There's some ice, so now he has 2 ice in his shield.
All right, come on, 3 ice,
Oh
3
my
ice, 3 ice, 3 ice.
Goodness. Here we go, and bang, we get another ice. Ben reflects it back at her, and he jumps across. Is the rule of 3s going to come into account this time? He slices her, yes, and she's twisting in agony, slumps over, spins around, poof, and just an explosion of fire and ice. And 2 swirling fire and ices come and land in front of him, and they look perfectly healthy.
Odd Conduit Media.